Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode. This episode, we're going to talk about how lava lamps protect 10% of all the internet traffic. Now, you're wondering, what? Lava lamps? Well, stick with us to find out more. So, Mark, are you ready to jump in?
Hell yeah. Let's talk about them lava lamps. I mean, I just know them from the 90s because we're 90s kids. Everyone used to have them on their fucking nightstand. When did this actually become a tech thing, man? What the fuck is going on?
I mean, same. I saw the reel that a friend of us showed us, and I was like, man, that must be fake. They can't be real. Thank you, Blandy, by the way. And yeah, basically, so Cloudflare is a cybersecurity company, and they basically serve for OkCupid, Uber, etc., and they're taking care of 10% of all the international traffic. And the problem is with cybersecurity, if the security is done by an algorithm, it's like because algorithms are or computer-based algorithms are easy to guess, or at least they are predictable, whereas lava lamps they're not. So how Cloudflare is doing this? Cloudflare basically has in the office, like you can see it on the Instagram reel, like hundreds of, or I think 50 to 100 lava lamps, which is like popping up doing this stuff, which are not really predictable. And there's a camera like literally pointing at it, and then their movements. So there's a certain period of time that it takes a picture, and then each pixel is basically then the start point of an algorithm, or like basically how it starts developing. That way it's always random, and make sure that it's always like random and that can't be basically hacked, which I find is super, super fascinating. And I was like, what? At the same time, like people, it's actually not locked away, this place. It's actually, you can just like visit it, because they actually encourage people to visit it, because in the end, if you interact with it, that makes it also like more random, and the randomness just helps it to keep the like everything more secure. So basically, if you go and visit it, man, you're helping to keep the internet a safer place. So I think that's really, really fascinating. For me, I was just like, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Actually, it looks super cool because Cloudflare, bro, that's the same website or same company that we're looking into to host our website. Well, not our website, but just basically our domain, our web domain.
Yeah.
And these are also the ones that Michael uses. They make it also fast so you can host pictures on there because they have a really good CloudFront. Well, that's the Amazon name, but just basically they host your pictures and make them available much quicker. And they can also improve your speed.
Well, that helps with the SEO, right?
Yeah, it helps with the SEO
and
all
faster
this
your
stuff.
websites loads,
Yeah,
images.
hell yeah. So super cool. I didn't know that they're actually a cybersecurity company. Huh. I like. Cool. Just a little side note.
I think it's really, really cool. I mean, I'm guessing it's cybersecurity because it's elevated. It's just like control, connectivity, or cloud. They do everything. So security, like speed improvement,
Yeah, they
cost
offer
reductions.
a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's like a really, really big company. All right, Mark, do you have another topic? I mean, I have still a few.
10%, man. Wait, 10% of the internet. That's a lot, man. That's crazy.
10% of the actually it's 10% of the international traffic for these big websites like OkCupid, Uber, etc. So yeah. So it's not the entire 10% of the entire internet, but still it's a lot of traffic.
No, it's a lot still. Super cool.
Also, Mark. So the other day I was also listening to a podcast, and I was just like thinking about two types of founders that exist. Okay, so Mark, what do you prefer? Do you prefer being a speedrunner or to be a willingness to start from zero?
All right. What is what? Give me the two definitions before I answer that question.
All right. So in general, let's go a little bit back because we're right now in the process of closing our first company. We'll talk about it in the next episode, how that's going, etc. Actually, after this podcast, we have our meeting with our investors to to answer any questions. But yeah, we'll have an separate episode
for the journey with us.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. And yeah, because they give us like $500,000, so of course very thankful for the journey. But yeah, we'll talk about it in a different episode and all our learnings. That's a different. But all right, coming back to the point. So there are two types of founders. Basically, ones who like do speed running, and the other one is like the willingness to start from scratch again. What does that mean? So for example, imagine your career is like you are climbing a mountain. Okay, at the beginning you don't know which is the right way to the top. Like top is basically reaching your goals. You're just starting, but at some point in time you realize you might be on the wrong track. Okay. So for example, you went to consulting and you don't really like being consulting, you'd rather be a developer. Now you have two options. You either say, hey, like this height is good enough for me. I don't want to, I'm accepting this.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go back and start a different path. It's like, I want to be a developer. Okay. So you then basically start from zero. But basically you would like, basically the problem is a lot of people that
I don't
facing
understand
that
the speedrunner situation.
no, the
So
speedrunning is a different story. Okay, we'll
okay,
talk about this in a second. We're just right now talking about the
all
willingness
right,
to start from zero. Okay, because like if you the speedrunning, second point.
all
Right.
right, right.
So a lot of people are not willing. They're like, hey, I accepted that I only reached to this point, and they forgive their like dreams. They're like, oh, hell, well, I'm fine. I'm comfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
those people who are actually great or become goats, they are willing to like start from zero again. So I listened to this in MFM, and they were talking with Gary Vee. Well, the episode is not streaming yet, but they were already mentioning the learnings. I thought it's quite fascinating because Gary Vee mentions that like most of the billionaires that he's talking to are willingness to start be beginners again. So for example, let's look at Elon Musk, right? So he first helped PayPal, and then he was like, all right, I have enough of software. Now I'm going to become like start helping building Tesla, right? So
Hardware,
Tesla
completely
then
different, super complicated.
exactly. So he's like, I don't know how to build rockets, but I'm gonna learn it. So
SpaceX, yeah.
and yeah, and then he started from zero again, and then it was like, all right, this is what brings me to my goals because I don't know, he wanted to like interplanetary travel, etc. So yeah, he basically said, all right, I'm going down the mountain and then find a different path which leads me to my goal. Okay, which is quite fascinating. But then, so these are the entrepreneurs who are like willingness to start over from zero.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the other ones, which are speedrunners. Speedrunners means, for example, if you have started an e-commerce company and then you sold the company or closed it, and then you're like, all right, the next company is going to be e-commerce again. But this time, because I already know it, I'm just going to do the same thing but faster without all the mistakes. That's like, well, the term speedrunners comes from gaming. So basically, for example, people who are just like speedrunning Mario, etc. So they're just like taking instead
They're
of
basically
playing
starting from zero the game and try to be as fast as possible. Hence, speed run through the entire game. Super cool.
exactly. So they don't care about the latest games or the latest trends, and that can be also seen like in entrepreneurship, right? You rather play the same game and just do it faster and faster and faster, which is quite fascinating because in the end, it's just like, hey, if you love what you're doing, I think that's great, but if it's of course your goal as well. But yeah, otherwise, what are your thoughts, Mark?
Honestly, I think I like both. Both are super good. So I think one thing is, I think one person can be both. If they haven't achieved everything they want in that one category, they can do speedrunning again, right? They can, if it's a e-commerce, they start off like Felix, good example. He sold his company for weighted blankets, and then he was like, all right, I'm going to do another e-commerce because this one was successful, but I
Yeah,
know I can do more and I can be more successful, faster, etc. So he's now different, well, still in e-commerce, but a slightly different target audience and different product. So I think that's super cool and it's super nice. But I think also, for example, Elon Musk, he achieved the biggest outcome there was and for
yeah.
PayPal. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to do something else because this one is not as intriguing for me anymore. Also, he didn't have the financial incentive to do it anymore. He already had a couple hundred million at that point, right? So
Yeah.
what was the point to do that again? So I think the difference is, I think depending on the outcome as well, the bigger your financial outcome in the first one, the more likely you will go then to your final dreams, right? You want to do a different dream and get to that goal.
Well, in the end, I mean, I'm not sure how much we can really trust like what Elon Musk said, but he basically said like, "Hey, I already knew that was just my stepping stone to get the money to the other one, but again, then you don't know how much is
Yeah,
doctored
hindsight is
afterwards." Just
2020,
like
right? You can
exactly,
just
do like, yeah, I did this all to get to this point. But yeah, I mean, my point is quite similar because, like, to be honest, because like speedrunners seems for me for more people who um already done a successful startup. Well, actually, for failure as well. So you can still do the same, but just faster without the mistakes, which is kind of nice. But at the same time, for example, willingness to start from zero again. I see that more for people not for like entrepreneurs, but I rather see it for people who have a career, right? So consultant and they want to switch to something else. Because like for me, being an entrepreneur. So like if you stick in software, like you can go broader, right? So for me, that gives you like more the options. But yeah, besides that, I like both of them, but I'm more willing to start from
what would
zero.
you categorize yourself as?
Willingness to start from zero. I mean, that's what we're doing right now, right? So we're closing our gaming startup, and now we just started an we're going to start an AI company. So yeah, that's basically
AI
from scratch. AI, yeah. So yeah, definitely would say that.
I like. Honestly, I think of both. I think speedrunning is super cool as well. If you have never change running system, as they say, it's super cool if you can recycle that multiple times. But I think at some point it gets boring, and then it's super interesting and super cool to do something new. And I mean, I like to do something new as well.
But let me climb in there. Like if you think about it, speed run, but you can also just speed run certain aspects, right? So for example, in the AI company we're building right now, you can still speed run certain processes that you've done already before, which
but that's not the definition of it. Just being efficient. That's not the speed run.
Well, technically, it's part which is same part. It's like a level of a same game, which is the same. Like maybe starting a company, maybe running a marketing campaign, right? etc.
Everything has an overlap. Like so I think in that perspective, you have to take everything at once, and then how much overlap there is. So I think I like it. I like both strategies. I think it's super cool. If it works, it works. Good for you. And at some point, some people want something new, some people don't. So I think it's a good strategy, to be honest, because I think you also have more success. There are studies that shown that the second time, if you do it in the same business, you won't make the mistakes that you had before. So thereby, a speedrun is more likely to succeed than just starting completely from new. But also, again, you might not be the billionaire, but you get whatever. You could be 100 million.
Hell, I mean, there were people who literally did Mark, that one guy who did not concerts, what is it? Conventions.
Yeah, exactly.
Sold like hundreds of millions, and then a few years later built a convention just for a different niche, and then sold it again to the same company. So you can do it, I think, 3 times in total. So yeah, you can become filthy rich just like doing the same thing over and over again. It's more about like, do you find satisfaction in it? But in the end, it's like, hey, if success is your definition of fulfillment,
exactly. If you like it, it's nice. You're building something that people love, and you sell it. Awesome. Get to the next one, and you just know how to do it. Fuck yeah. Why not?
I mean, for
being
me,
good at something is fun.
Exactly. And especially, also in general, people love your product and using it. Man, that's nothing better than like people like you see like, oh my, I have thousands of users using my product, which I really, really like. I think that really gets me out of bed in the morning.
I think that's a good one, Lucas. I think I like it. I like this episode. Do you have anything else?
Everybody, just quick summary. Oh, of course. Everybody, don't forget, if you're not a YouTube subscriber yet, please leave us a comment, whether you like it. We're reading all comments, and of course, we'll respond to each one of them. And of course, subscribe, like, and of course, share it. And yeah, catch you next one. Peace.